All right, Cynthia Sulc, welcome to Empower Network TV. Very excited you're here. Excited to be interviewing you. It's like 10 p.m. where you're living in Australia, correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for this opportunity, Amos. I'm excited to share and to be interviewed.
Oh,
I've
it's a
seen many of your interviews, and I really love what you do.
thank you. Well, happy you're here. And I'm curious to dive into your
Yes.
story and your why. And now, do you want to start more with what you do before we get into your story, or what do you prefer to?
Um, I can start with what I do.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working as a conscious life coach for the last 15 years. Really, for me, I'm passionate about creating change in the world. So really helping to empower others to live their full potential. For me, I suppose I've been through my own stuff. And which is why I am so passionate about helping others. I always believe that people don't need to suffer if they don't have to. So if they knew how to navigate their life in a way that they can not have to go through the pain and suffering continuously, it would be really good.
Cynthia, I want to ask then, can I just ask you a question? So how do we not suffer? How do we get out of pain?
Right. That's where we need to do the inner work. For me, I have been through my own suffering and my own pain as a child. I grew up very disempowered, not having a voice because of my life circumstances. My father died when I was 5 months old, so I'm pretty much an infant. So I really did grew up not having a father. And when he died, my mother had 8 children to look after between the age of 5 months old to 12 months old. So it is a hard slog for her. So for me, when that happened, my grandmother came to live with us, my paternal grandmother. And my God, she's like a tyrant. She's controlling and very harsh. And we're constantly living in fear of her and the way she goes about life. But because she came to help my mother bring us up, so that is actually a good thing. So, but unfortunately, because of who she is, we had to go through a lot of fear and a lot of traumas. Of course, now when I look back, I am grateful for what she's done, because she's meant to come and do what she needed to do in a way. However, in saying that, I grew up with a lot of trauma, so therefore having my own traumas to navigate through, to knowing what it is like to have fear, to have suffering. So I have probably, because of that, I grew up, for many years, I was very disempowered. I was, I was not I was not able to have a voice. I can't speak. I am a fear of being seen, fear of being heard. So because of that, so I delved into wanting to actually really get rid of my pain and so on. So then I went through my own deep healing journey of personal development and personal healing. So therefore, you are saying, how do we get rid of fear? It's really to really meet it, to meet the fear, to embrace it, to go through it, the suffering, the pain, to really embrace it so that we can actually move through to the other side. So it's not, and I understand a lot of people say, how do you do that? It's not easy. For a lot of people, it's very confronting to actually meet their fear, meet their pain, meet their suffering. the thing is that when we actually know that by doing that, by embracing it and confronting it, then we are able to move to the other side. Otherwise, most people will try and suppress their fear, they suppress their pain and suffering. So therefore, when we suppress something, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It just doesn't go away, if that makes sense. So
Makes total sense. So to run towards it, to do the very thing you don't want to do.
Yep, to face it, to meet it, to, you know, like this, people say you need to meet your shadow self, and this is what it's about. And yes, admittedly, for a lot of people, if they haven't done the inner work, it is not easy. It is very frightening because, you know what people say, the acronym of fear is now, it is false evidence appearing real. So sometimes we think that things are fearful, things are painful. That is because of our past programs and conditioning, our past beliefs of something that has happened in the past, and our subconscious mind continue to believe that it's scary. Even though if things happen as a child, even though we've grown up, we still believe that it's real, if that makes sense. So people keep playing the same scenario and same circumstances consistently and keep living in that fear.
It's not easy to get out of that cycle. Sometimes it's so frustrating, especially when you feel trapped and then someone slaps a label on you. Oh, you got this or you got that from some doctor. And then you wear it like a badge of honor, like it's your identity now. It's like, that's all I can be. I can only be that now.
Yes, that's true. Which is really unfortunate because, like you say, a lot of things people name something, because when you name something, you say, "Oh, I'm sick." And yes, if you believe, obviously you have symptoms and so on, but if you believe that you're really sick and you continue to actually believe that and name it, this is bad, this is sick, I'm going to be, I'm going to die or whatever, then we create a reality, what our thoughts and our words, when we actually believe and think and become that, will become that, because our words, which is why it's so important when the words that we use to describe something, whether it's to describe our pain, our personality, whether it's to describe our our health issues. If we consistently keep saying this is now we are sick, then we'll continue to be sick. So, which is why language and words are very important. We need to use like more on a positive scale of word rather than a negative connotation, if that makes sense.
Have you read the book Parallel Universes of Self?
I actually haven't read that one, to be honest.
I'd be curious what you think of that, because that book goes
I
into, yeah.
I will read that now that you've mentioned that.
Okay, so let's get into can we get into more of your story? So why did you become a coach? So you grew up, you talked about growing up, the militant grandmother who came and lived with you guys and demanding and all that.
Yes. Yeah, my own story really is, as I say, as a child, I just didn't have a voice because with a lot of fear and trauma. So I really lost my voice. I wasn't able to really speak. When I say I can remember when I was about 7, I was that young, I've already lost my voice. I was already in a lot of fear. And I remember my mother asked me to go to a shop close by, which is like 5 minutes walk, that we go all the time. But she sent me there on my own. And I was already 7, right? I've been there that many times. But because of my own internal fear, she gave me the money to go and buy a packet of salt, believe it or not. So I grabbed hold of this money in my hand. I walked to the shop, and when I got to the shop, it was, I mean, it was a little deli, you know, we call it the tuck shop there. And I saw the owner, the shopkeeper. I just walked very timidly to the bag of salt that in those days they don't have you know, packet and so on. It's all in a big jar. So I kind of walked close to the jar and just stood there. And so the shopkeeper looked at me and came over and said, "What do you want?" I mean, he asked in a voice. For me, it's like he's shouting at me, and I just like really cowered, and I was so afraid and so scared because of my own internal fear. And I just whispered, "I want salt." And he said, "Can you speak louder, please?" And I was even like, "Oh my God, he's, you know, whatever he's going to take me." Why? Because, as I said, because of my own upbringing of being shouted, being, you know, my grandmother being really harsh and so on. I had this internal fear, and also there are a whole lot of other things that's happened. So I have that belief that when people talk to me, they are about to do something not very nice to me. So those are my belief, even though I was 7 years old. But that belief that something is going to happen to me just crept up, and it's like an automatic subconscious reaction. You know, that's how our subconscious works, because when we grow up with, or when we have past experiences, or we have been programmed and conditioned to believe something, whether it's through our experience or observing what's happened to other people, we start to believe that to be real. So our subconscious continue to play that program, and each time similar thing happen, will you know, I continue to believe that, oh my God, something's going to happen to me. So that fear is so intense that there's no logical reason. There's just not logical, right? But that's what I believe. So that's how traumatized I was, not to be able even to actually speak and say what it is I want. So my own past experiences has really create that deep desire for me to actually create change for myself. What was the question you were asking again?
That's fine. You answered it.
Yeah.
So today, bring us up to today then. So you're not 7 years old anymore.
Yep.
And
so
oh, go ahead if you can hear me.
yeah,
Maybe the
no,
camera
exactly.
froze.
So what happened is then, like I say, okay, yep. Coming back to that. So as I say, I started to go on my journey of personal healing and personal development, and really I did a whole lot of courses and healing modalities, like NLP and hypnotherapy and timeline therapy, you name it, anything that's under the sun. I was like, there was a time when I was like a course junkie. I wanted to do everything because that deep desire within me wanting to actually heal that part of me that, you know, I mean, even on a subconscious level, I, or rather my higher self, really, I believe, is saying that this time that you start to do something about it. And which is why I started to really have this deep desire to really do so many modalities. And I went on my spiritual journey. And so that came a little bit later, after I've done a whole lot of personal development and healing. My spirit journey started, and I really went to a lot of different places, to like Uluru and so on, to go on my spiritual journey. And something has really awakened within me. And so from then on, this life is never the same again. And I just continue to go from there. And that's how I kind of did my own healing work. And from where I was before to where I am today. I mean, for me in the past, I was really shy. I was really didn't have a voice. I was not able to speak my truth. I was not able to ask for what it is I want. I was people pleasing. I was, I had low self-worth, low self-esteem, totally insecure, jealous, which is why I had a few different relationships and they didn't last because of my own insecurity. Because when I look back, at that time, I like to blame my ex-partner to say it's their fault. But then I knew, looking back, it's not. It is my own stuff. It's my own insecurity that has created the situation. Of course, they have got an input in that as well, but ultimately it is really my stuff that I need to deal with. So whatever it is happening in my life, I'm the one that need to resolve that part of me, to heal that part of me that's playing up, whether it's feeling insecure, feeling jealous. And I was extremely jealous when I was in the past, when I had different relationship, which is why it just couldn't last, because I was too insecure. And I was even, when I see my ex-partner, ex-husband talking to another woman, I would be so, so troubled, thinking that something is going to happen. Why? Because that, again, that is my subconscious belief. I mean, it's not real, but I believe it to be real because of my own past program and conditioning. So therefore, it's just so important to really have to do work through our own deep-seated wounds to be able to actually move forward. Because otherwise, we'll be playing the same scenario over and over and over again. Sometimes people say, I don't know why when that happened, I just lost control and I can't help it. Right. I think every one of us has been there. It just snapped and we just couldn't lose control. I mean, I remember at that time I just got home. I have no control over my feeling. I was thinking, oh my God, I have absolutely no control over my feelings. How am I going to move through life like that? And this is not like once or twice. It's like every day of my life. I have no control over how I feel. And trust me, that is such a disempowering place to be in. And it was not a very nice place to be in. And I believe there's a lot of people who can resonate with what I'm saying, because this is about valuing, not having valuing our worth, not feeling not good enough, feeling not, not worthy because of whatever it is that's happening in our life. So
what does your coaching look like today then?
I do one-on-one coaching currently. I've been doing that for the last 15 years, pretty much with my clients. Again, I work very intuitively as well. So when my client comes to me, I will very intuitively know what to say. The information will just come through, and I just know channel through, and I just know what to say, what to do, and I'll apply whatever in that moment I felt I need to apply, whether if it's going to be an NLP process, or whether it's going to be hypnotherapy, or whether it's going to be a sound healing, because I also do sound healing, which is also a very powerful technique, which with the crystal singing bowl and the drums, the shamanic drum. And also I also apply we call it Diksha oneness healing. So it's really kind of channeling of and using energy. I'll call it energy work. It's easy, I use energy work and really support people through that. And radiating. Again, always for me, it's always working from the space of the heart, is not going using the mind. I always tell my client, you need to come back to the heart center. Don't try and use the mind to try and think, because our mind now will always go back to the subconscious, where we believe all the past programs and conditioning. So it's not something that you can reason with. So doing the healing work that I do, I call it the healing work, it's not just using the mind, because really it's you working with we do use some of the mental, emotional, and physical as well, and also very spiritual. When I say spiritual, it's not religious, because I don't have any religious affiliation with any religious whatever association. I am spiritual. So when I use the word spiritual, it just really means to really connect with your own higher self, your divine self, your inner wisdom, to work from there, to work from this space of love, work from the space of heart, and so that it's not using the mind. So they're very much heart-centered way of working, and also like very intuitively, and still applying some of the techniques, but whichever comes.
Well, thank you for, thanks for walking us through all that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to what you're saying. It's we all get told things, whether things happen to us or things are told to us, or we just pick up things from childhood or teenage years, and they can affect you for the rest of your life. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we don't do anything with that, it will affect us for the rest of our life. But when we actually take the time to say, okay, no more, I no longer choose to continue to experience the same thing over and over again, it's very traumatic, it's very painful, then we have to make the decision and make the choice to say, okay, I want to do something about it. And that's when really doing the inner work, the healing work, is so important. Because if we don't do the work, then all we do is continue to suppress those emotions. And the thing is that each time similar circumstances happen, we continue to suppress. And as we know, the more things happen, it is more thing we have to suppress. And then the self say, okay, I no longer can take this anymore. If you go for years and years now, until 30, 40, 50, then that's how people become sick. They get illness, they get disease, they whatever, have a heart attack, because your body no longer could sustain continue suppressing difficult emotions. Like Bruce Lipton saying, Dr. Bruce Lipton say, our cells is either on a growth mode or the protect mode. It can do only one thing, it can't do both at the same time. So if the cells constantly protecting, then it's not really growing. So which is why then people actually get health issues, and whether it's mental health or whatever other physical health issues.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Cynthia. Thanks for walking us through this. If you've been watching Empower Network TV on the replay or live, and you appreciate what Cynthia had to say, please reach out to her, let her know, connect with her. I'll be tagging you, Cynthia, in this interview, and then sending you some links here after today. So thank you so much. And I appreciate this. I appreciate you taking the time to do this today.
Thank you very much, Amos.
Okay, Cynthia, we'll chat soon.
Glad to be here. Okay, thank you.
Okay.